Philadelphia Fusion. Of course, the Outlaws are here to reign on their debut. Just about to jump into Dorado here, and you can see the Houston Outlaws to defend to start with. Jake on the 76, Lynx are on the Tracer match, so you definitely hit pretty close to home earlier on. How does this play out for the defenders here? It seems like a very safe composition.
Yeah, it's extremely safe. You're probably going to play pretty close up, towards the cart. You see where Coolmat and Moom are. Lynx are as well. You're playing on those high roofs. Probably jump down, try and contest. Even if they lose that first fight, the payload progress really isn't that far. They can get back from the spawn, contest again over by the fountain.
They're very much defending right outside of the spawn of the Fusion. The Outlaws might just want to make a bit of a statement early on, maybe rattle their opponents. But quickly, Fraggy pops up into the air. He notices that the Houston Outlaws are set up on high.
I think the biggest surprise when I saw the starting lineups was Neptuno in for Joe Meister. Joe Meister on this Philadelphia Fusion roster, but Joe Meister, really focuses on Lucio. Doesn't play a ton of Mercy. You're going to have Neptuno playing that Mercy. You're going to see Poco dive on in with Shadowburn here. Shadowburn able to cause the distraction. Poco on the Diva takes out both supports here for Houston, so a fantastic start for Philadelphia.
I mean, he gives up his mech, but he finds 2 kills. Seems almost worthwhile here, but the Philadelphia Fusion have the spawn advantage. They're far closer to the payload when they pop out from that respawn timer, and they're able to continue to make progress. It seems that the Outlaws, defending so far forward, kind of blew up in their face when they lost both their supports.
But they're going to get another fight here, like we were talking about. So the Outlaws right now regrouping. They should be able to get back, at least touch the payload here. Stop the progress. Somebody actually got off of it here for Philadelphia, so not going to move it on. Now the push is going to start to come in for Houston. It'll be Lynxer taking out Carpe at the beginning. Shadowburn just playing up top here, just trying to poke, get some more damage towards that Dragon Blade.
Fraggy, he's found Raucus amidst the mess of the fight, so he's already managed to find his way into the back line of the Outlaws again. Carpe is going to be hastily brought back to life, and so is Raucus. Both teams making sure they're with 6 players at all times. Shadowburn is close to this Dragon Blade, but Jake's been doing work. He's actually found 3 off screen there with the tactical visor, and it doesn't matter what Shadowburn does here. His dash is done.
We see Shadowburn obviously play the Genji a ton. That's the hero he's known for. You kind of wonder, how does he go about playing the Genji? And a lot of times we see Shadowburn, he'll just kind of poke for damage, and then build up these blades. And he's so patient with his Dragon Blades when he gets it, uses it at the right time. We can see here from Jake's POV, the attack visor. Looks like he got pushed back a little bit here. The defense matrix eating up a lot of it. Once the defense matrix wears off from Poco, there's just a lot of free targets here that Jake's able to take out.
Yeah, just to correct, it was 2 kills and a D-soup, and it's as good as Boombox gets turned into a metal pancake. Mooma just lands right on top of him there. Perhaps the positioning wasn't ideal. The rest of the Fusion was so far forward. Boombox will be brought back into the fight, but Shadowburn runs headlong into the entirety of the Outlaws here. Neptuno desperately trying to keep him topped up in health. And they might be able to isolate Mooma here, but he seems to have backed away already. The Outlaws trying to play closely around their backline and core if they can. Carpe, though, going to find Mooma. Lynx are already down. Shadowburn's looking for Raucus here. He respects the Omnic Monk, though. He respects what Raucus can do there. He's going to take his time again. This is Shadowburn being quite the conservative Genji.
Yeah, Boombox does have that Transcendence if they need it here. Carpe with a Pulse Bomb on a Raucus. Shadowburn will take out Bonnie. That'll be point A taken by the Philadelphia Fusion. You hold on to that Transcendence so you have it for this next fight, because look on the side of the Houston Outlaws, you're going to have another attack visor here, a self-destructive, a Pulse Bomb, a lot of heavy ultimates coming in for Houston.
Fusion want to push forward a little bit early on. You can see they've already tried to assume this high ground again. Want to make it hard for the Outlaws to regain pole position, and of course defender's advantage when you got the higher ground, as Hex mentioned in that previous game.
The thing that I worry about for Houston in the next fight, we talked about how many ultimates they have and how great it is the Dragon Blade from Shadowburn. You don't have a Transcendence, and we're about to get away. He's going to pop the Dragon Blade, and it doesn't really get a lot for it, right? He gets Bonnie there at the end, but he's such a target. Once he pops that blade, it allows his teammates to push on through, pick up 2 more kills. There looks like there's 1 person contesting the payload here. It's going to be Mooma. He will fall. So now it's going to be the Philadelphia Fusion gaining some more progress, growing through our second point.
Seems like an awfully drawn-out fight there. It kind of looked like we had 2 stages of play. First, it was Shadowburn going in with a Dragon Blade, trying to find something, and then a couple of his Outlaws players got picked off by Poco. Of course, French player previously on a team called Gamers Origin was actually an incredible Genji before he switched to playing this flex tank role for his team. He's an amazing Zaya. He had some of the best stats we've seen in the contenders, but now it might be a self-destructive attempt. No, playing it safe. He sees the Transcendence in over the fight. Poco's just going to give it a bit of respect here, but he sees now the tank of the enemy team dive into his backline. He realizes he can't peel. He needs to go and try and counter dive himself, but he gets de-shooted in the midst of the entire enemy team, and Jake is going to be able to find him.
Yeah, Fraggy's Primal Rage forces out Raucus to use the Transcendence a little bit earlier than he probably would have liked to. Neptuno uses the Valkyrie. That'll force Bonnie to use his Valkyrie. Brings Mooma back into the fight. You see Shadowburn here just on the payload, just getting some more damage. The Transcendence comes out from Boombox. Now it's going to be Muma using his Primal Rage, trying to keep this one going. For the Houston Outlaws, Fraggy with a big kill there on Arrakis.
Gonna be a self-destruct for Coolman. He needs to get back in his mech. He's trying to avoid getting killed before, and he does. He jumps right back in. The extra health is gonna be a lot of help to him now as he's getting bared down upon by Shadowburn and Carpe. You can see where the targets are for these divers here. Shadowburn's gonna go for the blade though. It's Bunny first to fall. Looking for another, but the recall making it hard for him to follow Lisa's positioning, but Coolman just steps into it. Carpe's Phalanxer as well. And that will be the Fusion making progress. This is good time for the first showing of the Philly boys.
It's a 15 kill streak there for Shadowbird. I believe we saw the stats on the side, 18-1 this moment in time. And a lot of times we see Genjis, they end up using their Dragon Blade, and then the Transcendence comes out, and they're not able to get anything with it. Usually when you see Shadowburn use that Dragon Blade, they've already forced out the Transcendence in another way. Yes, he only uses it when he knows that there's no support ultimates on the other side. They had Fraggy force out the Transcendence early, then Bonnie had to use the Valkyrie to bring back his tanks into the fight. Allows Shadowburn to use that blade to great effect.
Looks like with no ultimates really except for the Pulse Bomb, the Fusion are happy to let that Tactical Visor herald the beginning of a lost fight for them. They're going to be happy to back away on this one, knowing that they've drawn that key ultimate away from Jake. But beware, Philadelphia. There is a Pulse Bomb waiting in the wings for Linksa. Raucus has a Transcendence, so the Fusion haven't drawn as much out of their Outlaws as they maybe think.
We see Jake now go back to the spawn. He'll switch off of the Soldier 76. He'll go over to Junkrat. Junkrat's going to provide a lot of damage in these close quarters areas with the squishy heroes on the other side, the Genji and Tracer.
Can you play high ground against the Junkrat if you're the Fusion here?
I mean, you can try. I don't think you really could. I mean, if you wanted, right? I mean, you could run a Zarya and run it right into the Junkrat, eat up a lot of that damage, and use it offensively. It'll be Carpe that takes out Jake at the beginning of the fight, so you lose all that damage. It's going to be Bonnie using Valkyrie, bringing him back on in. But more kills here starting to go in way of Philadelphia.
Starting to be a good look for them here in this fight. Jake finds Carpe there with the bind. Carpe's going to be brought back into the fight pretty much immediately, and he makes good on that. He's found Jake not once but twice there, dealing with that Junkrat, of course, and his tire. A lot of damage there being taken away. Boombox on towards Muma here, and Shadowburn has a plate again. Conservative, waiting for an opportunity to use it, and he didn't have to, which is so big for the Fusion, saving those ultimates for what might be the last fight.
Most interesting part of this last fight will be Shadowburn with his blade, Raucus with the Transcendence. Can they force the Transcendence out of Raucus before using the Dragon Blade, then get the cleanup kills with the Dragon Blade to put this in Philly's favor?
Shadowburn falls back again, Blade awaiting. Oh, he's not going to get a chance to use it. Jake gets a double mind kill. Both Shadowburn and Carpe fall down. All of the damage for the Fusion being taken away in a breath.
And that is Junkrat against these low HP heroes. The double mine there takes out a lot of the damage from the Philadelphia Fusion. They are forced to back out. And now with only 60 seconds left, it leaves them in a tough spot. Maybe you can have Carpe get behind enemy lines when he gets his Pulse Bomb, land it on Arrakis, force the Transcendence out that way. But you see Bonnie already, rolling up towards Valk. Carpe lands the Pulse Bomb, doesn't force the Transcendence out though.
That's so big though. You see, I think Bunny was trying to get a res on Jake, but he got knocked away. He wasn't able to bring his teammate back. Poco's playing a little bit dangerously here, but it was inside the healing of the Transcendence. He's able to resuit, get back in the fight. It's Neptune to fall to a Pulse Bomb, and Carpe's found Muma here. Again, Carpe on the wrong side of this fight. Payload gets there in the end. A lot of confusion. These fights have been so weird to watch in this match so far.
I believe it was Coolmat who went past the payload and went towards that support line of Philadelphia, was not able to make it back towards the payload. But it's interesting. So Philly uses their Transcendence. Raucus actually uses his Transcendence to keep his team alive, right? Because there's so much healing coming down from the side of Philly. You need to keep your team up through that. So he ends up using his Transcendence. Then Poco throws his self-destruct on top of the payload, and it forces the members of Houston back towards their spawn door. And Shadowburn dives in. They probably expect the blade, so they backed up even further. Shadowburn doesn't use the blade, goes right back towards the payload, and they get it right on in.
And we were on camera with Carpe as well. He had just dived into the spawn of the Outlaws. He found a kill, and then he had the payload to his back, so he couldn't actually see the payload moving when you were looking from his perspective, but he was standing on it, moving it forward towards the end. So almost a back cap to a degree there, but communication, the lines, I guess, of communication for the Outlaws seem to be a little bit skewed in that previous round.
And you're so worried when Shadowburn dashes on in, because so many times we've seen from him in the past, when you use the Genji ult, the Dragon Blade, you get the dash reset. So many times we'll see him dash up into the sky, and then the other team knows, oh crap, he's going to Dragon Blade. They end up using a support ult, and then he doesn't actually blade. He just goes right back to the ground.
The same as Sombra players implying that they have an EMP, and they throw their translocator into the air to almost bait out the Transcendence to make it hard. Interesting. The Outlaws looking a little bit shaky than otherwise would have expected, and the Philadelphia Fusion look like they might be high flyers around the corner. Again, a team we didn't get to see in the preseason. It's impossible to predict, but this team has got incredible caliber. I mean, we haven't even talked about Fraggy, who in my opinion was one of the most aggressive Reinhardts in the game and transitioned. It took him a long time to transition to the Winston map, but once he managed to really get that role unlocked, he's been incredible.
Well, the thing that the FaZe lineup, where you have this core of the DPS from the Philadelphia Fusion did is, during contenders, they played Genji Tracer majority of the time, right? Maybe you saw Shadowburn play a little bit of Pharah, maybe you saw Carpe, play some McCree, some Widow. It's like you kind of know what they're going to do, but they're just so talented at it, and they do it at such a high level, it's very difficult to stop.
Right there, just back your way. Obviously, Manny's going to be giving him that healing for most of the time. You can obviously see Fraggy receiving healing himself. Elsewhere, though, it's been the Outlaws finding kills around the fight. Jake hasn't really had to do too much there. You can see Fraggy tries to put him in a bit of a bird cage, but Jake comes in with a quick fist to the face, and that Juno gets his just desserts. Mercy Mains everywhere, let out a groan. And it is going to be the Outlaws to move forward here, Jake. Again, doesn't always need, you don't need a concussive blast or to use your rocket boost to get a bit of height there. You can actually just damage yourself.
And I really love the Pharah pick here from the Houston Outlaws because it kind of challenges what I was saying, where Shadowbird and Carpe will stay on this Genji Tracer. It's like, okay, you guys want to play those heroes? Deal with the Pharah. What are you going to do? You have no hit scan, can't really take her out of the sky. It's going to put a lot of pressure on Poco on the Diva to get up right in Jake's face. See, Carpe there gets to the backline, takes out Linkser, but because he's all the way in the back, Bonnie's able to get that res off fairly easy.
From the safety of distance at the very least. Linkser is back on his feet. He's a threat. He's being jumped on at the moment, but Jake is in a position to get the barrage down. Poco is a problem, though. The defense matrix from the Diva is going to suck all the rockets up, and he doesn't get a chance to use it at all. Carpe flicks that pulse bomb on towards Moomy here, and Linkser, Shadowburn giving Linkser a taste of his own medicine, sends the bullet straight back between the eyes of the Widowmaker. And that will signal pretty much the end of that fight. A couple of kills there for the Outlaws, but it may not be enough to be going on with.
They do have the spawn advantage, though, so see if Houston kind of extends this fight even longer. Fullmat, though, getting pressured by both tanks here. And that pretty much is the end of it. Right now, Houston is forced to back out. What's interesting is what I was talking about, where, you have the Pharah on the side of Houston. If he's able, Jake, to put down a lot of damage, they're going to be able to progress through the map fairly easily. If Poco can get in his face, eat up a lot of that damage with, the defense matrix, or even just taking these shots as Diva, now it puts Houston in a difficult spot because you have Carpe and Shadowburn just kind of running rampant. It's going to be Jake going on a flank here. He's going to get the enemy Mercy. Shadowburn reflects the rest of that rocket barrage right back in his face, but you'll take that trade, though, getting the Mercy out of the equation.
Yeah, it's a 1-for-1. Again, it's a pretty ballsy play to go in with the Pharaoh, but it does pay off in those cases. You do need to accept that you're going to be using your ultimate and probably fall. Raucus has a Transcendence. It's being teased out of him at the moment, though. Carpe's harassing him. Perhaps he knows it, too. But our Outlaws are making good progress now. After Jake's little play there, a bit of flair has allowed them to make some progress. A slower round so far for the Outlaws, and Shadowburn's trying to stay alive, but Jake's going to put that one to an end pretty quickly. A direct rocket hit on towards Carpe should get the job done. Raucus rezzed, Outlaws on the run.
I wonder if we see Philadelphia make a change. Maybe you have Carpe play Widow. Oh, Carpe is going to play Widow. So just as I was about to talk about it, Carpe plays Widow, goes up against the Pharah on the other side. Needed to change something up. You swap out your Tracer, you get a Widowmaker in the mix. Should be able to deal with this Pharah.
Raucus going up against a couple of his ex-teammates in this matchup as well. Obviously, the FaZe boys are representing in this one. Sure, no animosity, but I know Carpe and Shadowbird would love to wipe that smirk that Raucus often wears on his face off. Couple ultimates here for the Outlaws, though. Let's have a look at this. Transcendence is going to be important, but Carpe wins the battle out against Linkser pretty comfortably. This might give the Fusion a little bit of room to breathe here now with that Widowmaker off the board. It's Jake thinks about going up to try and test the high ground, but realizes he's safer boots on the ground.
Shadowburn still holding on to the Dragon Blade, knows the Transcendence is up for the side of the Houston Outlaws. Jake very low here. Carpe is able to finish him off. The Discord comes in from Boombox. One shot from Carpe. He actually gets rezzed. Carpe kills him again, and they're forced to use both rezzes here onto Jake.
Self-destruct forces are disengaged, so the tempo gets mixed up a little bit for the Outlaws. They want to press forward and use this momentum, but they've not been allowed to so far. Callback getting forward, and that's going to force the Transcendence out of Boombox, but the Fusion might use this to actually win the fight out. The healing's been pretty darn good. Link's found Neptune off screen, so there's no more mercy now for the Philadelphia Fusion, but it doesn't seem to matter because Poco and Shadowburn are in there.
Carpe goes so huge during that fight. He's able to kill Jake originally, but forces Bonnie to use Valkyrie. They res Jake, another headshot. They res Jake again, another headshot. Carpe takes him out 3 times during that fight. basically forces out. I mean, the Valkyrie gets you literally nothing at that point. You use both your reses on your Pharah, trying to get in, take the enemy Widow out, get to the backline, then be able to get a ton of free damage. It's huge plays from Carpe.
So he's going to force Jake to switch to the Genji now. Cool Matt again goes forward, takes a bit of damage, perhaps just sees what he can find with that. It buys the Outlaws a little bit more progress on the ground. It's the entirety of the fusion worth putting that one D.Va under scrutiny. Primal Rage for Fraggy here. I wonder what is supposed to come of this. Carpe's fallen to Linksa, so finally the Finn player gets the win in that head-to-head on the Widows. Shadowburn falling to Cool Matt here. This might be the opportunity for the Outlaws. It's a 6v4, v3, v2, and now all of Fusion pretty much being cut aside, decimated here. And it's been very, safe play here for the Outlaws coming forward. They're sticking together and they're fighting their picks, man.
I think the idea there from Fraggy was maybe use the Primal Rage, get onto Raucus, and force the Transcendence out, because on their offensive side, that's what they use their Primal Rage to do. Fraggy on the offensive side popped the Primal Rage, got right on top of Raucus, he popped Transcendence right away. So maybe the play was there from Philly, use the Primal Rage, get on top of Raucus, force the Transcendence out, then maybe have Shadowburn pull out that Dragon Blade, because he's still holding on to it.
2 minutes 30 is what the Outlaws have to get towards the end of the map. The Philadelphia Fusion still have half a minute in the back pocket. Boombox is picked off early, which is normally what he does to his opponents, so that was smart, but he's going to get rezzed immediately. Jake, if you've bitten off more than you can chew, no. Around the corner, Vanity heal him up just a little bit more, and Jake's just going to try and get a bit of his own space here. The Valkyrie being drawn out of the Fusion, though, as Fraggy's back on his feet fighting Finn.
Philly's going to invest the Valkyrie in, so you expect the push to come on through. It's going to be Houston backing out a little bit. Houston has a lot of ultimates to use here, Mitch. They have their own Valkyries, still with the Transcendence. They're going to lead the way here with this self-destruct. Oh, it's going to be Moonbox taking out Jake before he can use that Dragon Blade. It's going to be the Transcendence used from Philadelphia as well, so investing both support ultimates into this fight.
These two teams are so scrappy. You can see how much they love to brawl and go back and forth, but it's been very, very hard to see a clear winner in many of these fights. What are you looking for, Cool Matt? Again, perhaps a target to pick off in a backline, but Carpe goes down to Raucus. You've got to respect the balls there, and it's going to be Jake to fall. Both Zenyatta's starting to headline a little bit. We do have world-class Zens on both sides here, and Boombox has found Raucus, though, so he settles the score for now, and Shadowburn wants to combine with Fraggy just to chase down Bunny. Not much that can be done there for him, and the defense now will hold for the Fusion.
And that was just about a must-win fight for Philadelphia. When you use your Transcendence, you use your Valkyrie, right there when we're about to get into this third point, you need to win that fight. If you lose it there, Jake has that Dragon Blade. You still have Raucus with his Transcendence going towards the end. It'll be very difficult for Philadelphia to hold on to that point. Look at this, Carpe moving behind enemy lines.
He wants to try and force this Transcendence.
Yep.
He has to know that Raucus has it. Get rid of the Trans, get rid of the Zen. Oh, the stick on it was a Mercy. That'll do the job well. No Mercy in both senses of the term, and Carpe now has done his job. He's found that single target in the backline that he needed. He can make a quick slip away, and there's no way that Matt could chase him. That's going to cut down further time off the Outlaws clock. They're going to be behind if they even finish this map, Matt.
And that's the thing with this Philadelphia Fusion roster. You kind of know how they're going to play. They're going to play very aggressive with the Genji and the Tracer. It's just they kind of look at you and say, can you stop it? Right now, put up a very good showing in our first map here, getting a look at them as it's going to be Houston with 19 seconds left. It's going to be the Valkyrie here used by the Philadelphia Fusion. It's going to be Neptuno bringing Shadowburn back into the fight. He takes out Raucus, so you're not going to have the Transcendence. He dies right away, though, to Jake.
Philadelphia Fusion opt into a fight where there's a Junkrat inside close quarters. It's so dangerous, but they seem to have bounced back well enough. Carpe knocked away, wants to try and benefit from the Transcendence, so he gets up close. Cool Matt and Jake, shielded by the barrier are the Philadelphia Fusion. That expires, they move forward. It's Jake to go down, and Carpe's looking for his next target, but it's only Muma left here. The Outlaws are starting to run out, trying to push in one by one, but Buddy might be in compromising positioning here. He does use the Valkyrie to get that resurrect. Jake is back, and he found Shadowburn immediately after coming in. Pulse bomb for Carpe. This could be huge. Going to get a little bit of extra help before he makes his way back to the payload, but he doesn't connect it. The Outlaws are building up a little bit of momentum here. They've got all their players pushing forward.
Philly will have a self-destruct and Primal Rage, though, going into this final fight. It'll be Muma with a Primal Rage. Cool Matt getting very close to self-destruct. No support ults on either side right now. It's going to be Fraggy leaving on in.
Again, just him against the entirety of the Outlaws. Both Winstons are trying to zone the enemy backlines out, but Carpe falls again. Jake's making Poco get 3. It's a self-destruct bonanza. Huge, and the Outlaws are running out of steam. Finally, the Fusion have found the answer, but can they keep it up? They need to follow up with this momentum. It's Raucus to go down. Primal Rage Fist knocking him out. Cool Matt is low, so is Muma. Trying to stay alive and keep this one stalled out, but it won't be enough, and that's it. The Philadelphia Fusion, the debut with the Overwatch League results, their first map win. What a spectacle, man.